Here ends the era of Escanor, the man, the legend himself. Biggest flexer in all of Seven Deadly Sins. His story has come to a close. Now, I've read a couple interesting theories that I will share, but we'll do that at the end. The chapter begins, and you have Zeldris and Gelda. They're getting out of there. It's like, well, we're gonna go do our own thing now. Bye. See ya. I don't know why Mael's there. The fact he was present and didn't help is a mystery to me. That one is 100% kind of a questionable thing to me. As everybody else was in the heat of things. A lot of the characters, they didn't seem to really get that damaged outside of a few, but you'd think Mael, the super powerful angel who was said to be, a rival to Meliodas back in the day with holy magic, would have been there, like, hey, let me get in and help fight the Demon King. Nah, I mean, Escanor, was in the fray of things, but you think Mael could have done something, even without using Sunshine, if it was like, oh, well, only he could use it, and Mael didn't have it at the time. He still could have healed. He still had, general, and generic, angelic healing abilities, but, whatever. Not important, but still, odd to point out. Anyway, the crew is gathered. They know that this is the end. Like Escanor says that he can't even move anymore. His body is beyond repair. At this point, it's starting to decay, and parts of it are starting to chip and ash off. I'm gonna miss the guy. Legitimately. The weird thing to think about is throughout the story, Escanor's whole character has been this big flex king. He just, the second he gets muscular, when the sunshine comes out, he is ready to just drop an arm on somebody. But that's a lot of how he felt for the longest time. It just felt like, oh yeah, he's just this big meathead character, but that wasn't the case. We found out some bits about it, obviously, with Merlin. And then the whole part where even with no power, he was willing to fight against the little baby Endura to protect people of the kingdom, because as a knight, he had it part of his duty, to throw away himself in order to protect the people that he had sworn to serve. So, I mean, when you really look at that, and on top of everything else, Escanor just has, I think, the best build for a character in the series, because not only does he have a really good backstory, not only does his all his moments of glory just really press on, and while still holding a lot of weight to it, on top of explanation on why. I know you still got a lot of flexes for Meliodas, but I don't know, Meliodas' flexes, it always just seems like, of course, he's gonna stop this guy. He just seems to pull power up out of nowhere. With Escanor, it was more of, we know the situation, and as we saw with stuff like Chandler, it has weaknesses, it has ways around it that if presented, completely counters his ability and can screw him over. And he felt like just that overwhelming presence kind of character, that big dominating, just the juggernaut of the team, but at a way that's half of the day, he's not gonna be really of any value unless, special circumstances and aid from other characters were involved. And I liked that about him. I liked that whole bit to him, while still getting, he's a bit submissive to Merlin, but not oh yeah, I'm just whipped. He genuinely loved her, and he just wanted to make her happy, so when she asked him to do stuff, he would do it. It was a really nice thing between them, and it actually made me have one thing I liked about Merlin's character was the fact that, Escanor had high respects for her, and you got to see this other side of him whenever she was around. But he gives those soft and sad goodbyes to his friends. He's giving those final words as he gets ready to depart his days, knowing that this is it for him. And especially Merlin, how he says it's not that he loved her because that she reminded him of Rosa. It's because that she looked and connected with him and really just vibed with him, really on a raw emotional level in his mind. There was no form of discrimination or prejudice towards him. There was no judging of him, because other people just saw him as this big, strong monster, whereas Merlin, just saw him as interesting, as fascinating, and this person that she wanted to know more about, and that made Escanor happy, and it was really nice to see that aspect of him develop throughout the story. But as it is, he knows that it's too late. There's no like, oh, you can heal me. His body is beyond repair. His life force is run out. But you get that last nice bit near the end when his body is just like moments away from just full crumble, and Merlin comes over and just gives him that goodbye kiss. He gets that final moment of joy before his life is over, and you can tell it wasn't like some pity moment from Merlin. It was just that genuine appreciation and thankfulness that she had towards him. And you know, it meant a lot to him as he went out, because it doesn't really matter if he gets to be with her. It was just that returned somewhat of emotions to him that he had been giving to her for so long. And she's like, you know, she's never able to give back the same level of feelings that he had given her, but she recognized them and she appreciated them, and that was really nice. And she's got like all these burns on her now, and she's saying that she's gonna like keep them as like you know, a symbol towards, you know, her thankfulness towards the one man that truly loved her. And I'm wondering if she's actually going to keep them, and it's not just going to be something that she has for a bit and then, you know, gets healed up later, and it's just to have that sign. It'll be really cool, to be perfectly honest, if she keeps that rest of the story, because from this, I know obviously like Escanor dying, there's like, you know, a sad part, and you know, the end of the Holy War, story-wise on top of it. But there's a couple things I want to address. Even disregarding my theory that there's going to be more like demon kings of different lands, because this one that we saw really was over Britannia. I know there was the whole comment like, oh, the world can't take 2 demon kings. That's not the case, because it took an attack that was able to apparently destroy Britannia, which is the land that he was, you know, kind of linked over to destroy him. And obviously that's not something that would destroy a whole planet. So, I mean, it seems to be much more of an exaggeration of him. I still think that there's a possibility that other lands are going to be involved. You know, we already have Danashi. Again, it'd be pointless if Danashi was introduced as a character, but there was no trip to, like, a Japanese land. But we do have the Mother of Chaos. I don't think Supreme Goddess stands a chance of being, like, a threatening villain if she shows up. I think the Mother of Chaos has potential, but I'm hoping for that, like, other Demon King equivalents of other lands. But there was a theory that I heard coming out, because there was a plot point dropped before this battle that really is supported if you think about it. And that is the whole part where Mama Hawk was saying that Arthur was going to awaken at some point soon. And the question is, it's like, how could 7 Deadly Sins continue onward if there aren't 7 of them? I mean, you know, you can only have a series be with the title and really do so much if that's not the case. I know there's some series where you can get away with that. Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds decided to, you know, 5Ds and then had 6, whatever. But with Escanor gone, it's like, well, who can replace him? Who's the top spot? Well, you can have the King of Heroes himself bring in Arthur Pendragon, and finally utilize his character, because he hasn't really had much throughout the series. And he could finally just get that chance to be present, because he's one of the ones that, okay, well, who would be able to replace the, you know, the Sin of Pride? Who would be strong enough to replace Escanor and their crew? And you could only have some characters potentially be in that spot. Male, but I think male would be kind of too much of like, oh, hey, Ace Knight here, Sabo. Yeah, look, he has a different hairstyle and a hat. Different hat, rather. Okay, I mean, it's sort of, but I mean, it's completely different if you want to actually have a different feel. I mean, if you just want to be like, oh yeah, he's a similar character, but not entirely the same. Whatever. I mean, I can't stop Dakava from decisions, or you could have someone like Zeldris come in. Zeldris is very powerful. I don't know if he'd fit into the role, but I think Arthur would really just kind of like fit right into the spot. And not only that, he's strong enough, similar to Zeldris and Male, to where it'd be like, well, he can compete with these guys. We already saw that he was able to contend to a degree with, like, you know, Chandler, Cusack, Zeldris, and Meliodas back before he actually, like, had full grasp on Excalibur. And not only is it a powerful sword, it's also a holy sword. So if there's other, like, you know, if there's demons and monsters from other lands, you got Excalibur, the probably most famous weapon in all of fiction, you know, used on this character. I think it would be a good step up to put him in place. I don't know. Tell me what you think about that. I mean, it's a possibility. I mean, the series could easily end in the next couple chapters. The reason I don't want it to is, for one, all the setup for other aspects in the series would be pointless. I wouldn't understand, like, what's the point of the Nashi? What was the point of Arthur's, like, whole hype and, you know, all the thing you did with that? What's the point of the Mother of Chaos? What's the point of the Supreme Goddess? But I would moreover like it to continue because I would want this series to have a good final boss, because the thing is, I'll get this one last thing. The Demon King, if he's just some big boss, like right now, and there's more after this, and he's just, oh yeah, he was just some big boss, that's good. That'll be salvaged. That'll completely help a big chunk of the series, because as a final villain, he was not a good final villain. He didn't even have like some cool like epic moments near the end, except for that cool monster form. Whereas, you know, if it leaves off there, then it's like, well, that sucks. Where if it's like, oh well, there's more to come. Well, you can leave him there and then build up like a new final villain, have somebody that has more character to them, more of a story, more progress of who they are, and more of a presence in the series. Like I said, it could easily be an end point, but I would like it to continue for another arc if it meant, you know, ending on a more solid bad guy. I did really like Escanor's parts of this arc. I thought he had the best moments in this entire arc. But I would like it to have a much more kind of positive vibe end in terms of the overall arc, not just one character. Because when you look at it, you got some good stuff going on with like Male Starossa. His part was really cool, then it got kind of ruined. But like, that fight was very anticlimactic. You never really got like a Meliodas Zeldris fight. Cusack, Chandler, and the original Sinner were all big disappointments as bad guys, as well as the Demon King. It was like, whatever, I don't know. Anyway, comment below, tell me what you thought. Would you be fine with another arc of Seven Deadly Sins if it meant getting a, you know, much more positive ending? Because I would. Again, I've been following the series since Chapter 1 came out, and even though I've had my, you know, upsets with this arc, I would be much happier to end the series on a much more positive note. Again, though, I do like Escanor's whole, like, entirety as a character, especially in this arc, but for an overall arc itself, I mean, he can't save one arc just because he's, you know, a glorious bastard. Anyway, thumbs up the video, prefer the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos, and, you know, comment below, tell me what you think, and I really appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and thank you all for listening. Bye.